Hey everyone! Lord of the Mysteries has become a phenomenon in the world of Chinese web novels in recent years, and for good reason. The story is absolutely incredible. But let's be honest, many people give up early on. Maybe because the first volume starts off slow, doesn't have many wow moments, or because the power system feels overly complex. Still, like I said in my previous video, it's only after finishing Volume 1 that you truly begin to feel the genius of Lord of the Mysteries. Last time, I promised we'd take a deeper dive into this novel. So today, let's kick things off and begin our speedrun through this modern web novel classic. Get ready to enter a world where steampunk meets the supernatural. A young man named Zhou Mingrui lies fast asleep when suddenly pain shoots through his head. He wakes up, disoriented, and finds himself in a completely unfamiliar place. The room looks old-fashioned. On the table lies a notebook. Next to it, a revolver. And up in the sky? A crimson full moon. He glances in the mirror, black hair, brown eyes, a pretty average face with sharp features. But it's not his face. He's crossed into another world. Okay, technically, that's not exactly what happened, but for now, let's call it that. As he calms down, memories of this new body start flooding in. His name is Klein Moretti. He lives in Tianjin, a city in the Lone Kingdom. A recent history graduate from Hoi University. His parents are gone. He shares a tiny two-bedroom apartment with his brother Benson and sister Melissa. Life's tough. While trying to piece together this new identity, he realizes he can read the strange text in the notebook. On it is a sentence: "Everyone will die, including me." Zhou Mingrui figures that his crossing over might have something to do with the mysterious book he got back on Earth. Desperate for good luck, he once tried a ritual from that book, and that very night, he woke up here. He suspects the ritual triggered the whole thing, and he decides to redo the ritual to see if it'll send him back. Having made up his mind, Klein cleans up the scene. He's still unsure why the original owner of this body committed suicide, but for now, getting home takes priority. The next day, as planned by his sister, Klein heads out to buy bread and groceries and picks up materials for the ritual. At the market, he stumbles upon a circus show. A fortune teller offers to read his tarot cards for free. Out of curiosity, he agrees. After all, tarot exists on Earth too. But just as she flips the first card, the Fool, the reading gets interrupted. Turns out she's not a real fortune teller, just a beast tamer in disguise. Back at home, Klein begins the ritual. He chants in Chinese and takes 4 counterclockwise steps. Suddenly, his head feels like it's about to split open, and he finds himself in a strange space filled with gray fog. By accident, he touches 2 star-like spheres. In that same moment, 2 others. Audrey Hall, a noble lady in Backlund, the capital of Lone, and Alger, a sailor aboard a ship on the Sunia Sea, have their souls pulled into this mysterious fog. Quick thinking, Klein pretends to be the master of this space, and it works. Audrey and Alger, both well-versed in occult knowledge, believe this being is some kind of higher existence. Audrey is a curious noble fascinated by mysticism. She asks how to become a Beyonder. Alger, trying to avoid bothering this mysterious entity, answers her question instead. And thanks to their exchange, Klein starts to understand this world a little more. They're living in the 5th epoch, also known as the Iron Age. To become a Beyonder, one must drink potions each named after entries from the Blasphemy Slate. There are 10 ranks or sequences for each Beyonder path, from 9 to 0. Altogether, there are 22 different paths of the divine. Alger suggests Audrey could join a church and become a Nighthawk under the Evernight Goddess, or a mandated Punisher from another faith, or even join the Machinery Hive Mind. These are all Beyonder organizations that handle supernatural cases in the real world. But Audrey doesn't want to lose her freedom. Alger then offers her a Sequence 9 potion. Audrey chooses the Spectator path. Their deal is witnessed by the master of the Gray Fog, Klein. When asked for his name, Klein smiles, thinking back to the tarot card from earlier. "You can address me as the Fool." Audrey and Alger quickly realize how convenient it is to make deals through this mysterious gray fog. So, they propose holding regular meetings. Klein agrees. He also needs a way to learn more about this unfamiliar world, and these two seem like the perfect information sources. To keep things mysterious and safe, they each pick code names from the tarot deck. Audrey becomes Miss Justice, Alger becomes the Hanged Man, and Klein, of course, is the Fool. And just like that, the Tarot Club is born. After leaving the gray fog, Klein is hit with a wave of disappointment. He can't go back to his old world. Not yet, anyway. So for now, he has no choice but to accept this new reality. But something still bothers him. Why did the original Klein Moretti kill himself? And why did he write that eerie line in his notebook? Everyone will die, including me? To figure it out, Klein begins digging through the old Klein's personal journal. He finds two key pieces of information. First, a few weeks ago, his classmate Welch discovered a notebook that once belonged to the Antigonus family, a powerful Beyonder bloodline from the Fourth Epoch. Welch invited Klein and another classmate to study it together. Second, Klein realizes he's missing an entire day's worth of memories, specifically the day before he crossed over. He can't remember anything about that day. He has no idea why he wrote that chilling sentence. Just as Klein plans to visit Welch for answers, there's a knock at the door. 3 police officers are here. The 2 classmates who studied the notebook with him? They've both committed suicide. The officers have come to investigate. But because of Klein's memory loss, he can't tell them much. Before leaving, one young officer turns and says, "You're lucky. Usually in cases like this, everyone dies." His name is Dunn Smith. But Klein will soon learn he's not just any cop. He's actually a Sequence 7 nightmare, a Beyonder who serves the Church of the Evernight Goddess as a Nighthawk. After the officers leave, Klein remembers it's almost time for his sister Melissa to come home from school. To cheer her up, he uses his cooking skills from his past life and makes her a warm dinner, braised lamb with green peas. Melissa is genuinely surprised. Their family's been struggling financially, and they hardly ever eat meat. Klein promises her and their older brother Benson that when he has money, he'll treat them to a real dinner at a proper restaurant. That night, Klein wakes from a deep sleep to a knock at the door. It's Dunn again. He tells Klein the expert has arrived, and it's time for Klein to come with him. Klein panics. What if this expert somehow discovers his secret, that he's not the real Klein Moretti? What if they lock him up and study him like some kind of lab rat? On the carriage ride, Klein sees a chance and bolts. He dashes through alleys, hops into another carriage headed toward the harbor, thinking he's escaped. But when he looks at the driver, it's Dunn. Somehow, he's already there. Klein wakes up. It was all a dream? Not exactly. It was Dunn's ability, a form of lucid dream manipulation. But strangely, Klein's consciousness remained clear and aware the whole time. Dunn takes him to Welch's home to meet the expert, a spirit medium named Daly. She hypnotizes Klein to recover his lost memories. Afraid she'll uncover the truth, Klein pretends to be foggy and confused, but manages to pass the test. On the way home, Dunn makes Klein an offer. Join the Nighthawks. They need someone like him, a history graduate with sharp thinking and a calm mind, to help deal with the growing number of supernatural incidents. Through Dunn, Klein learns more about Beyonders. With great power comes great risk. To gain supernatural abilities, one must drink potions. But if you lose control, even for a moment, you become a monster. A twisted, terrifying shell of your former self. We are guardians, Dunn says. Yet also a group of wretched souls eternally battling against dangers and madness. Klein thought it through overnight, and finally made up his mind to join the Nighthawks. Not for the paycheck, of course, but because he needed to know more about Beyonders and the mysterious world he'd been thrown into. After signing the contract, Klein officially became a member of the Nighthawk squad. Captain Dunn quickly brought him up to speed, introducing the team structure and something even more terrifying: sealed artifacts, mysterious objects with powers beyond understanding. These sealed artifacts are ranked from Grade 3 all the way up to Grade 0. Grade 3, dangerous, only used by teams of 3 or more. Grade 2, still dangerous, but manageable if you're careful. Grade 1, highly dangerous, use only under strict limits. And Grade 0? These are so catastrophic that they must be locked away beneath the cathedrals. No one is allowed to ask about them, or even speak their names. Dunn handed Klein a photo, a man, and a strange feather-shaped pin. That was the infamous sealed Artifact 008, and the man who stole it? Former Archbishop in Sangwell. At the time, Klein didn't realize just how closely their fates would become entwined. To begin training, Dunn sent Klein to meet Old Neil, the team's eccentric armory keeper and arcane researcher. While digging through ancient Beyonder documents, Klein noticed Old Neil studying the diary of Emperor Roselle. The problem was, no one had ever managed to decode it. But the moment Klein saw the strange characters in the diary, he froze. They weren't some ancient magical script, they were modern Chinese. That was the moment Klein realized he wasn't the first transmigrator. From these diary pages, Klein uncovered two major secrets. First, Emperor Roselle regretted not choosing the seer or marauder pathways. Second, he wrote about something called the acting method, a way for Beyonders to safely digest potions and avoid going mad. This changed everything. In the next Tarot Club meeting, Klein, now the Fool, shared the acting method with Miss Justice and Mr. Hangman, asking them to help him collect more of Roselle's diaries. The Fool's mystery deepened in their minds. One night, Dunn suddenly entered Klein's dream with a warning. Someone had broken into his apartment. Klein woke up in a panic, grabbed his gun, and managed to subdue the intruder until Dunn arrived and knocked him out cold. Turns out, the man was from the Secret Order, searching for the Antigonus family notebook. Thanks to this success, Klein finally got the chance to become a real Beyonder. When offered the choice, Klein didn't hesitate. He chose the seer pathway. After drinking the potion crafted by old Neil, he officially became a Sequence 9 seer. Under Neil's guidance, he learned how to use spirit vision, and most importantly, how to file reimbursements like a true Nighthawk. Meanwhile, Miss Justice used the recipe from the Tarot Club to become a Sequence 9 audience. But in a strange twist of fate, her golden retriever Susie also drank a potion and became a Beyonder too. Apparently, dogs have a natural talent for the audience pathway. So now it was a girl and her psychic dog, practicing how to act. As for Mr. Hangman, he set sail as captain of the Blue Avenger, starting his journey with the acting method in hand. Back in Tingen, Klein started going to a divination club, part of his own acting as a seer. To the outside world, the Nighthawks were just a low-key security company called Blackthorn Security. But that day, they finally got a client. A tobacco merchant's son had been kidnapped. For the Nighthawks, this was child's play. Klein used his divination skills to quickly find the kidnapper's hideout. But after solving the case, he had a strange dream. The Antigonus family notebook was right across the hall, in the apartment facing the kidnappers. Klein immediately reported it to Dunn. Although they didn't recover the notebook, they found clues that pointed to a man named Ray Bieber. To catch him, Dunn submitted a request to use a powerful sealed artifact, 2-049. While they waited, Klein experimented with ritual magic. And from that, he discovered something remarkable, a secret name, a divine title. The Fool that doesn't belong to this era. The mysterious ruler above the gray fog. The king of yellow and black who wields good luck. The moment he inscribed his secret name, the gray fog responded. Now, the mysterious space above the fog had unlocked a new function, leaving messages. Not long after becoming a seer, Klein got his first real job. A woman named Anna came to him, worried about her fiancé who had gone out to sea and never came back. She asked Klein to do a divination, and the result showed that her fiancé had indeed been in a shipwreck, but he had already made it back home safely. The one behind the incident was a Sequence 8 Beyonder called Instigator, by the name of Triss. Just as Klein was about to report this, Captain Dunn showed him a wanted poster. Turns out, Triss was already on their radar. The Nighthawks moved out immediately to arrest him, but they didn't find anyone, because Triss had already advanced to Sequence 7, becoming a witch, and was now going by the name Trissy. Yes, he had literally changed genders. You see, Trissy came from the Demoness sect, a secretive group that worships the primordial Demoness. Rumor has it that all baby boys born into the sect are killed, which is why only women exist in the organization. But the truth is much stranger. Anyone who climbs the witch pathway and advances to Sequence 7 will transform from male to female after taking the potion. Meanwhile, the sealed artifact that Captain Dunn had requested, 2-049, finally arrived in Tingen. It was a puppet that could paralyze anyone within 5 meters. If you weren't warned in time, you'd slowly become a puppet yourself. Dangerous, yes, but also incredibly useful when it came to tracking down the Antigonus family notebook. With its help, the Nighthawks quickly located the suspect, Rear Bybar. Just as they were about to make their move, a mysterious clown appeared out of nowhere and ambushed them. A chaotic fight broke out. The noise of the battle caused Rear Bybar, who was inside the house, to lose control while trying to absorb the notebook's power. He turned into a monster. The clown used the opportunity to flee, and the Nighthawks had no choice but to deal with the creature. After a tough battle, they managed to bring it down, but everyone was injured in the blast. The sealed artifact 2-049 landed right next to Klein. Instantly, he was paralyzed by its effects. With everyone else unconscious, Klein realized that if he didn't act fast, he'd end up as a puppet. His only way out? The mysterious space above the gray fog. He performed a ritual with great difficulty and regained control of his body. But before he could do anything, the clown returned, offering to help Klein move again in exchange for the notebook. Klein pretended to agree, then lured the clown into the artifact's range. The clown froze up, slowed like a broken puppet. Klein raised his gun and shot him dead. The Nighthawks finally retrieved the notebook and brought the clown's body back to headquarters. That night, curious and shaken after his first kill, Klein went to take a look at the corpse. Suddenly, the clown's body twitched, grabbed Klein's wrist, and whispered a strange word over and over. Onyx. Klein was completely stunned. To get some answers, he returned to his university, hoping to consult his old mentor. Instead, he ran into another professor, Azek. Azek looked at him and said something strange. Your fate feels out of tune. Have you been experiencing a lot of coincidences lately? Klein froze. It was true, too many things had been happening around him. He went home and did a divination to see if recent events were being influenced by supernatural forces. The answer? No. But just to be sure, he repeated the divination in the space above the gray fog. This time, the result was completely different. Someone or something was interfering. And not only that, it was powerful enough to mess with his readings in the real world. Klein went back to see Azek and learned the professor was actually a very strong Beyonder, though he had lost most of his memories. Azek asked Klein to keep an eye out for clues about his past. Klein agreed, and soon, something came up. At the divination club, Klein ran into a girl he had met at the black market, Elizabeth. She had been having the same nightmare over and over again, so she came to Klein for help. Through divination, Klein found that she had been to an old castle in a small town, and that she was haunted by a ghost. Sensing something supernatural, he reported it to Captain Dunn. The Nighthawks prepared to investigate, and they even brought along a terrifying sealed artifact, the mutated sun emblem. Anyone exposed to it for more than an hour would turn into a brain-dead worshipper of the sun. But it had one very useful ability: it could disintegrate the undead. With its help, they wiped out the resentful spirits in the castle. But inside, Klein made a shocking discovery. A portrait of the castle's original baron looked exactly like Professor Azek. This led Klein to suspect that Azek had lived for over 1,000 years, losing his memories each time he reincarnated. He decided to tell Azek when he got back. But before that, he used the gray fog to divine the origin of the mutated sun emblem. That was a mistake. What he saw was the blazing divine figure of the eternal blazing sun. And his body instantly burst into flames. Luckily, the gray fog space helped him survive. And although it was a close call, he came away with two important revelations. 1. The formula for the sun pathway's lower sequences. Sequence 9, Bard, and Sequence 8, Light Supplicant. And 2. Never look directly at a god. Once they got back from the castle, Klein told Azek everything he'd found. So the two of them headed back together. This time, being at the castle triggered a piece of Azek's lost memory. He realized that one of the headless skeletons inside belonged to his own son. Azek then asked Klein to continue helping him uncover more clues about his past, and he decided to leave Tingen to search for his memories on his own. Before leaving, he gave Klein a copper whistle. Blow the whistle, and Azek's undead messenger would appear instantly, perfect for staying in contact. Meanwhile, far away on another continent, there was a land where people faithfully praised the sun. But strangely, there was no sun in sight. Only eternal darkness, violent lightning, and even the soil was so cursed that no plant could grow. This was the land abandoned by the gods, the city of Silver. And in this cursed city, a teenage boy named Derek Berg, holding a great sword, was facing a tragedy. His parents had been fatally wounded, and in this city, all who die become vengeful spirits unless a blood relative puts them to rest. So Derek had no choice. He had to kill his own parents to save their souls. Afterwards, filled with pain and grief, he returned home and prayed to the gods. He begged them to free the people of the city of Silver from this terrible curse. But somewhere beyond space and time, Klein, sitting in the gray fog, sensed Derek's cry. He pulled Derek into the mysterious space, inviting him to the Tarot Club. Just like that, a new member joined the group. The son, Derek. At the next tarot meeting, Klein gave him the potion formula for the Sequence 9 Sun Pathway, Bard. Derek officially became a Beyonder. Right after, the Hanged Man shared a piece of intel. One of the 7 pirate admirals, Lieutenant Admiral Hurricane Kalangos, had secretly entered Backland. He possessed a terrifying mystical item called Creeping Hunger, a glove that could control the souls of dead Beyonders. But to keep it functional, it had to be fed a living human soul and flesh every single day. The Hanged Man asked Justice to help investigate Kalangos. Justice then reached out to her 2 close friends, Furs and Hugh. Thanks to a generous payment, the 2 worked day and night to track him down. But Kalangos was cunning. He soon noticed someone was on his trail and laid a trap. He used himself as bait, planning to kill both Furs and Hugh. In a critical moment, Furs activated her teleportation ability and escaped with Hugh. They reported everything to Justice, and she passed the information to both the Hanged Man and Mr. Fool at the next tarot meeting. Then Klein, as the Fool, shared the intel with Azek. That's when Kalangos' true goal became clear. He had come to Backland to assassinate Duke Negan. He disguised himself as a baron to sneak into a noble ball. Unfortunately for him, Justice just so happened to be at that very ball. As a Beyonder from the audience pathway, she easily saw through his disguise. She immediately warned her father and secretly contacted the Fool. Thanks to the heads-up, the assassination attempt failed, and Kalangos tried to escape. But he didn't make it far. Azek appeared out of nowhere, and in one swift strike, completely obliterated Kalangos. He then picked up the mystical item, Creeping Hunger, and vanished. The Hanged Man, who witnessed the scene, was absolutely stunned. He believed this terrifyingly powerful figure must be a follower of the Fool, because who else but Mr. Fool could predict Kalangos' every move, seeing that even one of the Fool's followers was this strong. The Hanged Man's respect and fear of Mr. Fool grew even deeper, but little did he know. That same Mr. Fool, Klein, was currently lounging at the Divination Club, mooching off free snacks like always. That day, a familiar face showed up, Glassy, Klein's fans. Last time, thanks to Klein's advice, he had cured his lung disease just in time. So now, he fully trusted him. This time, he came to him with a business dilemma. He was thinking of investing in a project and asked Klein to check the risks. Through divination, Klein found out that the man collecting funds, Lannerwis, was a fraud. The risk was sky high. But Glassy, tempted by the opportunity, decided not to back out completely. Out of trust for Klein, he cut his investment down to 1/3. A while later, Glassy returned, this time with a girl named Magox. As Klein had warned, Lannerwis turned out to be a scammer and a playboy. Not only did Glassy lose all her money, Magox also ended up pregnant with his child. Everyone told her to get rid of it. But Magox just gently touched her stomach, saying the baby was interacting with her every day. Klein was speechless. He seriously started to wonder if she was mentally stable. He was just about to activate Spirit Vision to find out more. But Magox had already turned and left. Klein had no choice but to let her go. Around that time, a string of civilian deaths started to raise suspicions among the Nighthawks. They sensed supernatural interference. Klein and Leonard were sent out to investigate. It didn't take long for Leonard to conclude. Yes, they all died of normal causes, but someone used a ritual to synchronize their deaths to this exact moment. Klein gave him a doubtful look. They had only checked 2 bodies. How could he be so sure? Leonard, in full edgy mode, insisted. We both carry secrets, Klein. If this were a novel, we'd be the 2 main characters crossing paths. Klein rolled his eyes internally, thinking, this guy's really full of himself. But he chose to trust his teammate and performed a divination to locate the source of the curse. It pointed to one person, Trissy, the witch. The Nighthawks quickly moved out to arrest her, but she slipped away once again. It was around this time that Klein finally grasped the true meaning of the Seer's Code. Divination is not all-powerful. With that, he completely digested the potion and was ready to advance. When Daly, the spirit medium, contacted him via magical means, she already suspected he had mastered the acting method. Daly had advanced to Sequence 6 Spirit Guide, and she could tell Klein had done the same. But due to a contract, she couldn't share the method with others. So she asked Klein to inform Captain Dunn himself, before she signed the secrecy pact with the church. Klein had planned to do that anyway, so he agreed. The next day, he told the entire team about the acting method. He also submitted his request to advance to Sequence 8, Clown. But when old Neil heard about it, his face turned dark. He looked completely devastated. It turned out Daly had hinted at the method to him long ago. But he hadn't taken it seriously. Now, it was too late. That day, old Neil didn't show up to work. That alone wouldn't be strange. Except Klein had noticed something was off about him the day before. Worried, Klein performed a divination, and the result was terrifying. Old Neil's condition was very bad. Captain Dunn reacted immediately. He gathered the team and rushed to old Neil's house. But it was already too late. They found out that old Neil had been secretly performing ritual magic, trying to bring his deceased lover back to life. The problem? His sequence level was far too low for something so dangerous. And now, he had completely lost control, becoming a monster. Looking at the man who was once a teacher, a friend, and a comrade in arms, the entire Nighthawk team was silent. "Let me go," the creature pleaded. "I'll head deep into the mountains and never return. I won't hurt anyone. I'll just quietly continue my rituals. Please. I'm begging you." The team's hearts were breaking. But as Nighthawks, there was only one way to respond. 2 demon-hunting bullets ended it. Soon after, Klein completely digested the seer potion and passed his evaluation from headquarters. He was granted the next potion, Clown, and officially advanced to Sequence 8. He was now a clown. Later, while investigating Lenivus, Klein and Leonard stumbled upon a letter. It claimed that someone had planted a bomb in Tingen, a bomb that would grow stronger over time, until it eventually destroyed the entire city. But what kind of bomb could that be? While the two were still puzzling it out, Megos, the woman deceived and used by Lenivus, showed up at Klein's home. Her visit was strange, and something about her words from their last meeting kept echoing in Klein's mind. He started to suspect her mental state was getting worse. So he prepared to activate Spirit Vision to take a closer look. But just as he was about to open his spiritual eyes, his entire body froze. A voice echoed in his mind. "Don't look. If you see it, you'll die." In that moment, everything clicked. The bomb Lenivus talked about wasn't an object. It was this unborn child in front of him. Because in this world, the divine must not be looked upon directly. This child was the offspring of an evil god. Turns out Lenivus had acquired a ritual from the Aurora Order, a cult that worships the true creator. With the help of the insane Hood Eugen, they turned Megos into the vessel for a god's child. All the civilian deaths recently, they were part of a massive blood sacrifice. The hatred and suffering were used to fuel the child's growth. Now, the birth of the god's spawn was imminent. Klein wasted no time. He reported it straight to the captain. Dunn didn't hesitate either. He contacted headquarters for backup and pulled out a sealed artifact that could only be used in extreme emergencies. St. Selena's ashes. At that very moment, Megos' condition worsened. The divine child sensed danger and began absorbing energy wildly. It was about to be born. Klein, Dunn, and Leonard stood together for one final battle. But the evil god's child was beyond anything they had faced. Leonard was knocked out almost instantly. Klein held the line, barely staying on his feet while clutching the sealed artifact. And to stop the catastrophe, Captain Dunn made the ultimate sacrifice. He tore out his own heart and placed it into the ashes of St. Selena. An enormous power erupted. When the light faded, all that remained was a charred circle and a half-burnt fetus. They had won. Dunn turned to Klein, his face pale but smiling. "We saved Tingen," he said. And then, his heart stopped beating. He fell backward, and the captain was gone. Dunn Smith dead in action. But Klein didn't even have time to grieve. Suddenly, a hand pierced through his chest. Blood splattered. Klein collapsed to the ground, vision fading. St. Selena's ashes vanished. Klein was dead. And behind all of this was Nsangwil, the traitor, the former protagonist of Another Path. He had manipulated everything using sealed Artifact 008. He wrote down each event he wanted, and they became reality. All of it was to push Dunn into using the ashes and turning them into a potion. That way, he could evolve from Sequence 5 Gatekeeper on the Death Path to Sequence 4 Nightwatcher on the Darkness Path. By doing so, he would gain divinity and become a demigod. When Leonard learned the truth, he was filled with rage. He joined the elite Red Gloves team, ready to avenge his captain and comrades. Leonard also informed Klein's family. His brother Benson and sister Melissa were devastated. But as they stood before Klein's body, there was nothing they could do but grieve. That night, however, a hand reached up from the grave. Klein came back to life. His wounds were healing slowly, but surely. He looked at the gravestone. It read, "A true guardian. A most trusted partner. Our eternal captain." Through divination, Klein discovered that both Lenivus and Inzangwil were in Backlund. And if he wanted to get stronger, his path led there as well. Before leaving, Klein visited his brother and sister one last time. They looked pale, hollow, devastated. He wanted to approach, but couldn't. So, dressed as a clown, he walked up to them in silence and handed them a bouquet of Sevilla chrysanthemums, a flower that symbolizes joy and remembrance. This was his final blessing. And with that, Volume 1 comes to an end. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be posting more content about Lord of the Mysteries soon.